Right, so Michael Rosen, children's laureate, beloved chap. The term national treasure, when used for him, cannot be an overused statement to my mind. A children's poet and writer, well loved by my kids, well loved by me when I was a kid, and I love the bones of the man to this day. Few people can have a career spanning so long and be regarded so positively for so many years as he can. Do you not like this guy? Do you hate him even? Well, I go so far as to say the problem is with you, not with Rosen, but then Rosen is Jewish. And in the fevered mind of those who decide such things, he's the wrong sort. Now, one of Rosen's best-known works is, of course, We're Going on a Bear Hunt. I've read it to my kids. Many of you watching will have read this book to children in your families too. It's one of the defining literary texts for children of a generation even, written by Rosen and Helen Oxenbury in 1989. We're going on a bear hunt. We're going to find a big one. I'm not scared. And so it goes on. Its simplicity is its genius. You never really get tired of reading it. You didn't mind. Some books drove you nuts when they were requested by the kids over and over again. But this one was always fun, because you couldn't help but read it with a bit of feeling and conviction. Speaking of, if you've never seen Rosen read it yourself, it's on YouTube. Nobody does it better. However, Rosen's book was selected by one Jeremy Corbyn in a rather famous photo of Corbyn pulling a decidedly Rosenesque expression when he was reading it. Michael Rosen is a delightfully expressive chap whilst reading We're Going on a Bear Hunt to a group of young children as Corbyn was. Rosen was a supporter of Jeremy Corbyn as well, one of a great many Jewish individuals who were, despite the false media claims that he was a raving antisemite, despite all those individuals and organisations calling him such. And so we come back to this photo of Corbyn reading Rosen's book, and this was seen by a chap called Pete Newbon as an opportunity to score points and attack both Corbyn and Rosen. Back in May of 2021, that photo was taken, where Corbyn was showing the pictures in the book to children he was reading to, and instead of seeing a page from the actual Bear Hunt book, Newbon superimposed an image reading Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion onto the page. That particular text is an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, a vile piece of anti-Jewish work supposedly spelling out a plot for world domination. I don't know if this is the source of that particular associated anti-Semitic trope or just something that adds weight to it or not, but it certainly falls afoul of it. Somebody more knowledgeable than I about such things can absolutely let me know, but this is what this chap Newbon did. Now, Newbon, it later came out, was a director of LAAS, Labour Against Anti-Semitism, who claimed to stand to wipe out anti-Semitism from the Labour Party, but are, in my opinion, simply propagators of the scam and weaponised it instead to attack Corbyn and his ilk. To have superimposed that text onto a Jewish author's book and also corrupt the text to say Jew hunt is a pretty anti-Semitic thing to have done, or does anti-Semitism only count when it's against the right kind of Jew and Rosen is the wrong sort, therefore a fair target? I don't think you can differentiate, but trolling, as this blatantly was, does nothing to combat real anti-Semitism, even if that were the actual aim of this stunt. Newbon was one of LAAS's directors behaving like this, but he was also a lecturer at Northumbria University, and they had complaints due to Newbon's online conduct. Not once, but 3 times was Newbon hauled before a disciplinary panel of the university over his online conduct, and on all 3 occasions the complaints were upheld, leading on the final occasion to a final written warning. The allegations they decided were proven against Newbon were that his actions constituted a serious breach of the university's code of conduct, that he didn't act in the best interests of the university, and they had engaged in actions that had damaged the university's reputation. Now, contrary to what many of Rosen's detractors are saying in the media and on social media, he wasn't attempting to sue Pete Newbon over his conduct, over what he had done to a page of his book. In fact, he wanted an apology, and to leave it at that. However, instead of that, Newbon chose to sue Rosen for daring to call what he did to that book image, that photo of Corbyn reading the book to children, anti-Semitic. Well, it blatantly seems that way to me. As I said earlier, it seems a pretty blatant case of anti-Semitic conduct, in my opinion. Now, Newbon committed suicide in January of 2022. Despite being the instigator of the lawsuit against Rosen, and despite these actions taking place 8 months before his death, Newbon's supporters blame Rosen for driving him to suicide, despite the inquest into Newbon's death not mentioning Rosen once. What they omit to mention is that Newbon himself was being sued for attacks he'd made on at least one other person, possibly more. He was also apparently set to fail in his lawsuit against Rosen, set to be heard at the High Court shortly before his death. But being involved in a lawsuit, be it by you or against you, must be intolerably stressful. Newbon was in that position, and he took his own life. Nothing you say or do is worth that extreme act, but such is what happened. Despite in the receiving end of the lawsuit by Newbon, though, Rosen is widely attacked as being responsible for driving him to his death, which is just pathetic. But then, despite his actions, Newbon has been called a hidden saint, inverted commas, by the LAAS, which says a lot of them, and none of it good, anti-Corbyn and pro-apartheid Israel, as they are. And Newbon actually being the third of their directors to have publicly attacked Rosen previously. But this was just the start, because these days anything Rosen can be attacked for, he will be, and it's messed up. But in amongst it all is the accusations he's anti-Semitic himself because of what happened to Newbon. And of course, because of his support for Jeremy Corbyn, of course. Rosen nearly died of COVID during the pandemic, for example. Had a very long recovery. He's been very outspoken about it. And the trolls have wished that he died, or worse. He's spoken movingly of his experiences with that. He's spoken movingly about his family lost during the Holocaust. Rosen is also pro-Palestine. He's having just won the Penn Pinter Prize just this year for his fearless writings and lessons in humanity. So what does that say about those still attacking him to this day? Two of the worst then. David Hirsch, pro-Israel, anti-left academic and founder of the London Centre for the Study of Contemporary Anti-Semitism, and the numbers woman off Countdown, Rachel Riley. Hirsch is anti-Corbyn and has called for left-wing Jewish members of the Labour Party to be expelled from the party. And now he's written a piece in conjunction with the LAAS, who are sponsoring an annual Pete Newbon Award, no less. You can imagine who'd win such a thing. Riley, for her part, is happily promoting this nonsense, but taking any notice of a Jewish woman who claims not to look like a typical Jew, completely oblivious to the offensiveness such a remark carries, and particularly one who has also vociferously attacked both Corbyn and Rosen in the past, well, I'll take no notice of that. It makes my stomach turn, which is apparently the effect Rosen has on her. Thankfully, the retaliation on social media against the attacks on Rosen is blowing up in the faces of his detractors. I was blocked ages ago by Riley for calling out her behaviour. She really doesn't like it. It's a badge of honour for me, frankly. But she's been on another blocking spree again now, as people are again taking it to her. And of course, anyone attacking her must be an upset anti-Semite, of course. Michael Rosen is and always will be a well-respected, well-loved and cherished figure by people young and old and somewhere in between. Long may he continue writing, enthusing and inspiring more budding writers and poets, and may those attacking him for the most base, political and appalling racism and reasoning be forever forgotten. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please like, share and subscribe if you did. More content out daily. Meanwhile, here's a vid recommendation for you where Keir Starmer put forward a motion to block Jeremy Corbyn from standing as an MP a short while ago. Yet, despite our rancid media widely reporting this as being down to anti-Semitism, well, it wasn't mentioned at all in Starmer's motion against him, and I wonder why that could be. Not at all because it's all lies and might be actionable, surely. And, well, I'll hopefully see you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.